Hello, today I'm joined with Dmitry from the Augment Code team. We're going to be discussing state management, refactoring, using agents, and yeah, Dmitry has done some amazing work for Augment. I'll let him introduce himself. Dmitry.
Hey, I'm Dmitry Dima. I joined Augment in July this year, and I work on extension, the VS Code extension and IntelliJ. Um, I have a lot of fun working with it, and I had a lot of fun refactoring the thing.
Yeah. So this year we've seen a lot of extensions come out in the market. It's not very typical for a SaaS before this year to be, mostly through a VS Code extension. Prior to joining Augment, were you working on extensions, or what was your background?
Yeah, prior to Augment, I was mostly working on the front ends. It's basically heavy front end applications. Right before Augment, I was working on the Descript, which is video editing app.
I love that.
But it's not an extension. It's a little bit different thing, and it's a new experience for me in a way. First of all, yes, extension, and second is the front-end library that Augment uses. It's Svelte. I was skeptical first, but the moment I tried, actually, one day, I was converted instantly. It's so much fun. It's much better than the experience is much better than I had before as a front-end engineer.
And previously you were using which framework?
I was using React. I was using Angular, and before Angular, Backbone, and I even wrote a few of myself. So I have a bit of opinion about this. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Very opinionated is good for a developer a lot of the time. Frameworks on the front end, and with a front end framework, there's a lot of questions around state management. And I think that leads into the big topic for today, your massive improvements in performance on the extension that we've seen, largely thanks to you. Would you like to talk us in the story behind that?
Well, yeah, the performance improvements, not specifically the target of the refactoring,
Okay.
but it's a really nice surprise. And I knew that it's going to be like that. The original reason for refactoring was to make the app more stable, controllable, easy to work with, easy to debug, basically a better engineer experience.
Yes.
And that led us to make things like a performance improvement super easy, and basically that's what it is.
So first you need the observability to actually understand, what even is the core issues, right?
Yeah. That was one of the problems. We discovered that we have like a lot of paper bugs, and we used Augment agent to go through all the PRs for a few months to find like the common case, basically the core of the reason of bugs. And we discovered that it's state management issues most of the time. And state management issues usually means that it's not easy to understand how to change state and how it changes, and expectations for different components, parts of the app are not adequate. So we realized that, yes, we need a better state management. We need to understand how it works. We need a better observability. And that way we will be able to fix components and other parts to work right. Yeah.
So you used the agent to get you the insight that state management was a problem. Was that just one prompt and the agent was able to get, was it, you say months of PRs, paper cut PRs?
Yes.
Using the GitHub tools? Or
basically in VS Code itself, in the chat window, I asked it to look for pull requests for the last 3 months and specifically look for pull requests that related to bugs, and extract what was the reasons. Look at the descriptions and look at the changes. I think it was a few conversations. There's a lot of PRs, obviously, and in my workflow, I try to limit conversations, the length of conversation, to limit context window, so that I was breaking it. But essentially, yeah, it was one big thread. It could be one big thread. And
So multiple prompts, though.
multiple prompts to narrow down on things. And it allowed me to come up with a big document that were explaining what are state issues we have. And there was another conversation with the agent after this. We were prototyping. I personalizing it. Basically, it helped me to prototype the North Star solution for the state management, how it should work, what features it should have. Turns out I came up with description of Redux, all Redux-like libraries.
Sorry.
Yeah, and that's what we picked finally. Redux, we had a lot of conversation what the state management should be, what library should we use. There are a lot of options. Svelte itself has tools for state. There are other libraries that work like Svelte state. And it turns out that we just needed a better solution. And also we don't reject the Svelte state. We use it, but we use it in components along with our new Redux thing.
Oh, okay. So what was the reason there you've kept Svelte state? Is it just easier to transition, or there's actually something unique?
It's something unique, something that we actually need to work for Redux to work well with components. Well, basically, Svelte state is reactive state, and it consists of readable objects. And for Redux to work well with Svelte, I created a library that allows to connect, connection like Redux, like React Redux library. There's no Svelte Redux library as far as I know, or maybe not the one that we needed. And so to connect Redux to Svelte, we just have a function that creates selectors, and that function returns readable. And that readable plugs into components really nicely. And since it's native to Svelte, it doesn't call it too often. It calls it when it's only needed, and it means that the selector is not really degrading the performance. It's a common issue with Redux. When you have a lot of selectors and they're all connected, and state changes, they usually all called, and that degrades performance a lot. With Svelte, it's easier. You can connect all the components with all these selectors, and if this selector, the value of that selector is not used, it's not going to be called.
Oh, okay.
And also we have a bunch of other optimizations, caching, and we track what selector actually touches in the state. So when a state changes, we know what part of it changed it, and we don't call selectors that not related to that. So that also solved all the concerns about Redux and selectors and things.
Yeah. So massive unlocks in debugging the front end.
True. Yes. Redux helps a lot. Basically, action single data flow direction. That is just amazing when you want to have good observability and when you're looking for apps that are easier to debug. And basically we log in actions, we see them. It's easier to see state before action, state after, and find anything that doesn't look right. That helped us a lot to fix the bugs that we had before. And it basically before it was taking maybe days. It could take weeks. Now it takes hours. It will take minutes with agent actually. If a human does, 8 hours. If agent does, minutes basically.
So walk me through your workflow now. Now you've got all this observability. If someone reports a bug, what's the workflow to resolve that?
Well, there are different ways to report a bug. Sometimes people just mention that there's something wrong and rough states to replicate it. If it's replicatable, usually I just look at a state. I find a place where it's not right in state, and sometimes just for fun, because I like writing code, I just find it and fix it, and it takes me not so much time. In other ways, my colleagues, they use agent a lot as well, and we have, I should mention that we have pretty extensive documentation for Redux architecture that was written based on the refactoring, the state, and it was written by agent. And I edited it in a way I like it. I removed all things that doesn't matter. And now this documentation is used by agent every time it goes into the Redux state. And by just saying it, that there is a problem like this, and there is a Redux state, just take a look at this, find it. It's enough for agent to go through and find exact place. And often it finds other things like along the way. It's not really, there's no magic in writing prompts now for those bugs. I just literally send it a rough description of the bug. Sometimes I have error report from console, sometimes not, and it is enough.
So do you have this document, you say the Redux documentation you've had before? Is that something you put in like rules and guidelines, or you just attach it into the conversation?
Yeah, well, the documentation, it's we have rules for agent to look at this documentation, and also it's structured in a way so it will not blow up context. It's not one big Markdown file, it's a bunch of files that's really well structured. And basically, when agent needs something to know, there's a README file that's like index README file with all the things listed, and it's pretty short. Allows it to see where it can look further. And in those other files, since it actually doesn't have to read it all, but it's easy to search exact places that will help it, to enrich context.
Yeah, guide it.
Yeah. And basically, you want agent to know things, but you don't want overload agent with context. And this documentation, I think, does it well. And the rule that we have is automatic. It applies every time agent goes into Redux directory. And we even developed a kind of a pattern for those documentations. We put a bunch of Markdown files into _docs directory. And every time agent goes into directory and sees that, it goes there and checks what's there. If it's related, if there's something related to the task, it'll ingest it into the context.
Interesting. So how does that work to have the agent only pick up that documentation if it's going into Redux, for example, like related issue?
Well, we have a rule that specifically says if you're working on the directory and in the directory there's a docs _docs directory. Take a look at the index README file, find all the titles that related to your task, and then go to a file by the links and find things that are like related. It runs a few tools to do that, and picks it up. The funny thing is, well, I think it's not just fun. It's a good coincidence. Is that since we have context engine, the context engine indexes those files as well. And even if I wouldn't ask agent to go into the documentation, even if I wouldn't have this rule, the context engine would still index this and it will give it to agent. Having the rule just makes things a little bit faster, maybe. And I just want to be sure that it's always read, and that's why I rule.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I think it's a really great insight to kind of have the minimum amount required in the rule that's going to be attached every time. Teach it how to navigate and where to look, and then it can expand and, read the more detailed documentation. That's really smart. Yeah.
And this documentation is human readable. So it's actually, it's pretty fun to read sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. I want to circle back to something you said earlier. I think it might have flown over my head. I think you said that you made something unique or that was missing to link Svelte to React. Is that right? Svelte to Redux, is that right?
Correct, yes. I always have to write this basically library to connect it. The library itself is a set of functions, helper functions. There are a few that's pretty standard basic create reducer. I think most of these Connect libraries have almost the same implementation of those functions, and it's not the biggest part. The biggest part is one function that called create selector, and that what connects basically Redux to Svelte. One selector created with this helper, it returns a function that returns a readable instead of value. And readable is that what Svelte understands well. And it's basically, basically we don't really do anything specific. We don't change anything in Svelte components. All their components work the same. If they're not connected, we don't have to change them, the structure or anything. Anytime we need something from Redux, I just call this function, put into a variable, and that's it. And I can use it in component. But this create selector function is somewhat complicated. It have, besides that it returns readable, it's kind of sub-readable as arguments and change the value when the arguments change. It also optimized for performance. It has caching. It also understands when the state's not changed enough for the selector. So the selector is not called too frequently. A state can be changed many times a second, but we don't have to call all the selectors that are connected to components. This function allows selector to know when it should be called, and it'll not update component when it's not needed. And basically, with this thing, we don't have any performance issues whatsoever. And this one is not released yet. I think we're gonna do that. We're gonna do it open source. I mean, I want to use it for other projects, actually. I want to use Svelte for my personal projects. I want to use Redux, and I want this available.
So this is the missing link to convert Svelte users to use Redux, or?
Well, if people thinking about using Redux with Svelte and confused about what's there, like how to do that, this will definitely make it easier. And I think will give it a pretty good engineer experience. As like a contrary part, React have a lot of libraries like that. Well, I mean, there's React Redux, there's a Redux toolkit, there's a bunch of Svelte, not much. And this one is rather simple. It's not opinionated. It doesn't tell you how to write your selectors exactly. It doesn't tell you how to write your components or structure your reducers or anything like that. It just lets you write less code and have things performance and structure in the way you would like. And that's what we needed, actually, because we didn't know exactly what the structure would be. We needed room for experiments. And maybe after sometimes we get more opinionated version of that, but I like it the way it is right now.
Awesome. That's really great. I'd love to see Augment Code have like a lot of open source contributions.
I'm excited too, yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about or any topics we haven't touched?
Well, I mean, this state management, it unlocks actually a lot of things besides we spoke about performance and engineering experience, observability, but for the product itself, performance is a headspace for experiments. When the user interface faster, we can implement some features that not exactly performance, not exactly correct, kind of clunky, but they still gonna work. It'll be good enough to try. It's one thing. Another thing is observability. It gives you this tools for developing more complicated features. That wasn't possible before, and I think that's obvious, and that's obviously it's pretty good. But yeah, we already have this feature that was impossible before, but now we have these parallel conversations. Now you can just call another one. Well, you can start an agent and then start another conversation and do prototype work, or you can run another agent to do edits. For now, you just have to be careful not to send them to the same directory. They will, if they're gonna edit this. It's not gonna be great, but we working on that, make it better. Actually, some of the colleagues said that they actually wanted it to work this way. They prefer them to work in the same branch, in same Git branch, and that I see a use case. I see it's both, like for example, Git workspaces and working in the same branch. It's the good use cases. Well, yeah, now we have it, and I'm using it, and I love it.
Awesome.
Yeah. What else? I think, yeah, just stability and performance, and more features gonna come. I think we're gonna release more often now.
Yeah. Can you tease some of those features?
Well, first, yeah, I told about this parallel conversations. I think we're gonna have a bunch of improvements in interface and how it works, and since we have faster threads, we have the ability to add more sophisticated rendering for different types of files or model outputs. We also have one feature that's, I think it's pretty significant. And I don't know actually how it's exactly related to refactoring. I think refactoring made it possible. And my colleague basically implemented a way to design your interfaces. His feature creates SVG vector interfaces. An agent just does that, and it enables to basically you can do UX design now. And I think it's pretty significant. I cannot tell a lot about this. I would give him a chance. I don't want to take any credit. But yeah. And as for more of that, we just gonna we're gonna make the output more richer, and I think it'll be amazing.
Okay, that sounds pretty exciting. Maybe next episode we'll have him on and he can explain that.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, it's I saw people how people react on this, and they are also excited. So it's gonna be great.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Dmitry. It's been a pleasure to have you on and hear from you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been fun.
Okay. I'll just do an outro. Thank you guys so much for joining in to this episode. I hope you learned a lot, and we'll see you next time.